Just find value. We've all heard this sports betting advice repeatedly, but there's a problem. Almost nobody explains how ordinary people can actually find it. So for informational purposes, let me show you exactly how it's found using a real example, a shortcut that dramatically speeds up the process, and one simple metric professionals use to verify whether they've truly found value or not. This is a value bet, and yet most bettors wouldn't even know it because almost nobody explains where value actually comes from. Now, regardless of sport, the focus is often on statistics, historic form, news, and predictions. And while those things can be useful, they're often misleading. The truth is that value already exists in betting markets all the time. The challenge isn't whether value exists, the challenge is recognizing it before the market does, because odds are constantly moving, probabilities are repeatedly changing, and the best opportunities rarely stick around for long periods of time. So while value opportunities appear regularly, identifying them quick enough, especially the best ones, usually means comparing a huge number of consistently changing variables. But fortunately, there's a much faster way that we can do it. Let me show you with a very simple example. So if this is a value bet, there are two big questions that need answering. First, why is this considered a value bet? And second, how did I find it in the first place? Let's start with that first question. Now, in this case, the bookmaker is offering odds of 1.98, but the estimated fair odds are 1.81. In terms of implied probability, that's a 5% difference between the two lines. Now, that difference is the entire reason this bet is highlighted. It's also why some value bets are far superior than others, but I'll go deeper on that in just a minute. For now, the next question becomes, how did I actually find this opportunity in the first place? Now, I mentioned there was a shortcut and it came from these results, because this software's job is to identify betting odds that appear to be trading above their fair value. In other words, it's constantly scanning a huge number of betting lines, market movements, and pricing data points to look for opportunities that might be mispriced. And that's exactly how this bet appeared. The software surfaces selection because the odds on offer appeared bigger than the market believed they should be. Now, this is the important part. The software isn't trying to predict whether this bet will definitely win or not. Nobody can predict the future, and some bets will always lose. What it's identifying is a difference between the odds that are currently available and what the estimated fair price of that bet should actually be. It's a subtle but really important distinction. If the true probabilities price line is at 1.81, but a platform is still offering 1.98, it's overpriced. It can happen for all kinds of reasons. Perhaps a sportsbook is balancing their liability, perhaps they haven't kept up with changes, or perhaps they're just taking a risk. Either way, we're just looking for situations where the odds appear bigger than the estimated probability. It's not about predicting winners, having inside information, or being an expert on Argentinian football. It's simply identifying situations where the price is more valuable than it should be. Now, could you find opportunities like this manually? Absolutely. But there are thousands and thousands of markets every day on hundreds of different sports books, and the odds are always changing. The best opportunities often don't last very long, and that's why this tool exists. It's doing the heavy lifting for me and repeatedly flagging opportunities as they happen within seconds. Now, realistically, although potentially possible, doing this manually at scale is incredibly difficult. But there's another very important point to consider here. Not all value bets are equal. Some opportunities are stronger than others. For example, each opportunity has its own unique value margin, shown as an expected value percentage here. And this is great for targeting pure value, but higher price bets inevitably mean more variation in results, which also means that they likely need a bigger bankroll so that they can play out effectively over the long term, without getting a little bit more nervous at least. So here's another example to show you what I mean. The principle is exactly the same, with the current odds trading above the estimated fair value, as you can see, although it's a different market with a higher odds range and a different expected value figure. The process of finding it is the same, and this one actually yields more value. But because of the higher odds range, real world results are likely to fluctuate a lot more. The point I'm making here is that This edge finder isn't just highlighting random opportunities. It's finding value live and then helping sort it in priority order based on the size of the edge, market behavior, and supporting data behind the scenes, which is particularly useful because, as we discussed earlier, the best opportunities often don't remain available for long. I'd personally suggest that results with less time until the start are most reliable because there's a lot more data points available and more market support on show, meaning increased accuracy. I can adjust that up here. Now, speaking of accuracy, there's still one big question that hasn't been answered here. How do we know that this is actually value? How do we know that this isn't just a fancy algorithm making an educated guess? And that is where this one metric professional bettors obsess over comes in. They don't judge value by whether a bet wins, they judge value by whether the market agrees with them later on. This is known as closing line value. If you place a bet at 4.75 and the market later moves to 3.84 as the event starts, you've beaten the closing line. The market has effectively agreed that your original price was too big. And this is why professional bettors obsess over price. Over thousands of bets, consistently beating the closing line is the one strongest indicator that you've genuinely found value. If there's one thing you should remember is about identifying when the odds being offered are bigger than they should be and acting while those prices are still available. In this next video here, I'll show you a real betting strategy that puts this concept into practice and how value can be turned into a repeatable edge over time. Check it out.